All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, welcome to the Young Athletic. Thanks for coming, Lonnie. How are you?
My pleasure, Patrick. Thanks for having me.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Is it your first time recording?
First time recording. So hopefully this will turn me into a YouTube sensation.
YouTube sensation overnight.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, we were just talking about maybe the different generations and their proclivity to technology.
Oh, my Lord.
Can you talk to me about how you've seen that play out with your teams and your players?
Gosh, are you kidding? From when I started,
A little closer to the mic.
if you think about it, from when I started, my son started in AYSO in the Norwalk area back in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so what technology, right? There was none of this stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then when I really got into coaching about 97 or 98, it still wasn't that much. I was kind of like Pat. I was buying Dutch training books for. At the time, I was laughing listening to Pat's thing. I bought like a Dutch training book and I paid like $5 for it. But in 1997, you could get a paperback for 99 cents.
Yeah.
So to pay $5 for a paperback, I was like, oh my God, this better be the best book ever.
Yeah, things were a lot cheaper back then.
And it was, right? It was really good. It was a good book. But gosh, technology to now, look at it now, right? When I do sessions for the school, it's great because, I can bring my iPad to practice.
Yeah.
And even for the club, I can bring the iPad out, we can record it because a picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
And so do the kids find it useful besides entertaining?
The older kids, yes, right? Because the older kids, it's all about getting better because, they aspire to go somewhere to play at the next level, right? So getting their focus and attention is pretty easy. But yeah, little guys, are hopping all over the place, right? So you have to, right? So it's like, settle down.
Sometimes they're just lying on the floor, like, what are we doing?
Or I'm getting ready to record, and of course, and then they start photobombing. But when you can really get to it with them, I think it's a great tool, right? Because.
So do you use it with the youngers as well?
I try to use it with the youngers when I can, and what we usually do is we film games, and I don't do every game because it'll kill them, right? They can't stand still that long.
Yeah.
But my other coach, Mikkel, he's great. Mikkel Wax will break down the video and take out portions of it, and then we just watch portions of the video.
That's good.
So, because it's always great because, when you're talking strategy, right? Like, hey, everyone has it, right? We want to play inside. We want to go wide. We want to go to a point.
To space.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's great because, you can ask them, especially at that age, you're trying to get them to think.
Mm-hmm.
So like, hey, Patrick, did you really make that pass and go to, oh yeah, coach. Let's watch the video.
Let's watch it back. Let's make sure.
Right? And of course, always they get real quiet and they'll be like, what number are you again? Because, you can clearly see number 6, so it'll be like, remind me, who's number 6?
So are you filming your games with your iPad?
No, one of the moms does it with her iPhone and they come out great.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, she's dedicated. She goes touchline to goal line. She does a fantastic job.
What we've done a couple of times is we've used one of our players' drones.
Oh, really?
We've flown it up, and it's, you can really see the shape from that angle, and it's super helpful. We've only done it twice, I think, maybe 3 times.
Because at the high school, I have a tripod like everyone else, right? So I put my iPad on the tripod, and usually I get either a JV or a soft rush or a parent to video. Parents are usually better because the kids will dork around and not record, right?
Yeah.
Something's going on, and of course, the iPad's pointing over there. And it's like, you guys.
We missed it.
Right? You missed the whole point, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, with the little guys, I think it's not bad because it's their generation, right? It's like you guys were talking about, the challenge as I grow older is to stay innovative, right?
Yeah.
To keep their attention. The older boys, they spoil you, right? Because it'll be like, hey, we're going to go out and do 4x4s. We're going to do bangers. We're going to do some crossing. Away they go, right?
It just gets done.
Right. Right. Well, these guys are all just standing there looking at you, right? Hey, coach, come on, coach, teach me, right? I'm a sponge. I'm listening. Keep me entertained.
Keep me entertained,
right?
That's for sure.
Because that's what they're used to, right? Because when they're not with us, they're holding a damn cell phone or they've got some kind of tablet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Because I have a feeling as soon as practice is over, I mean,
They're going back to it.
yeah, in their backpack. They pull it back out. Boom. They're down on the ground looking at it. I'm like, seriously?
At practice.
At practice.
Ooh, I wouldn't let that fly.
Well, we're done, right? We're done, and they're going home, and boom, they pop it out. I'm like,
waiting
really?
for their parents, and they pop it out.
And I'm like, really? You couldn't go an hour and a half without electronics?
Yeah, no.
Isn't that scary?
We have I have some kids that will use their cell phone as they're walking to practice.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's. I'm just so grateful that I grew up playing outside. Getting dirty in the streets, avoiding cars. Sometimes like kicking the ball into a car and having to deal with like an angry driver. As a 10-year-old.
I mean, I do. I grew up in Norwalk, so down in the LA area, you have all the one-way traffic. So that's where we played everything, right? Parks were unheard of, right?
Yeah, just go out in the street.
We just went in the street and played. That's why it was so much fun, right? And like you said, right, you're making passes off of cars, and you're tackling somebody as you both go in, or you know what I mean? So that was the fun of it. That was the fun of it that these guys miss, right?
Well, yeah. I wonder if they just have no idea of that, like,
'Cause, you talk
just
about
a short time ago.
And as coaches, right, we're always trying to figure out the innovative way to make them creative. How do I make this guy creative? Yeah. Well, I think they lost all that because they don't go out and play like we did. We learn to be creative.
That's a good point.
Right, out of habit.
Do you think that'll be a challenge for the next generation of coaches that have to like think more creatively, that aren't just?
Because in this instant gratification generation now, when they become young adults, how do they, if their kids continue on the path, how do we
good point.
How do we reach them, right?
Yeah.
Or I laugh because the thing I liked about that old Dutch book is it was the first time I had read anywhere, and I'd coached other sports, baseball and tackle football, but it talked about the cognitive of learning and the different aspects of it, and I was just blown away by that, right? Because I'm like, no wonder the Dutch are killing us, It's like, look at the things they've already figured out. Small-sided games.
Yeah.
Right? When back then, my boy's 7, and we're playing 11v11.
Yeah. That's too much. That's one of Pat's gripes.
Herding cats, right? We were just herding cats.
They should start off with 5v5 instead of 7v7, and they're just too many numbers on the field at such a young age.
Yeah, it was just too many, right? Too many, they learned nothing, right? It was just the worst, right? So how is this next generation going to get there?
You're going to have to give them some of those Dutch books. Just pass it off.
If my life depended, I think I can find maybe the one, because I held on to it. Because like everybody else, you have your favorites you go to, right? Because it still had some, matter of fact, I still use it, a little diamond shooting drill, so you can get passing patterns out of it, but you can change your position to make them change the process, right? So like if I go here and play across and then we do a 1-2, well, then move your defender in the middle to see what they do, right? So I always like that one to get the kids to think, because you don't want it to be rote, right? You don't want it to be, that was the coaching I got, right? We were put on the square and 3 guys move and you pass to the open. No one explained why, right? It was just, we'll just do it because I said to. Okay.
Do you want to talk about a little bit about your experience playing?
So, oh God, no.
Did you play soccer and football and baseball?
So this is hilarious, right? So high school soccer was a fall sport. So I played it in grade school and in junior high, right? Because I'm old enough. I hate to say there was no established really AYSO yet, even though it started down there.
I see.
It wasn't the size it is, the magnitude now.
Yeah.
So the only place you could play was in school. But once I got to high school, soccer was a fall sport, and so was football. So
you chose football?
Well, I was kind of pushed that way because my stepdad, he's from Texas. So
Texas love football.
Right?
They love their football.
Yeah, my son's going to play football. Right? So I'm like, okay. Because I like to tease him now and say, well, look, by me playing before I started, I feel like it made me a better football player because my foot skills were way better than a lot of the football guys.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause especially back in the 70s, we didn't train like we do now.
Yeah.
Kids were kids and rode bikes, and then a sport rolled around, and then you went out and played.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There wasn't any of these places where you could go. There were no 24 fitness, 24-hour fitness and all that stuff.
Yeah, like the
on.
advanced training techniques everyone uses these days.
Right.
Yeah, it was just sort of play.
It was just play.
And try not to get hurt too badly.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. Try not to
I
lose.
never played football, so
Try
I don't
not
know
to
what
lose
it's like.
a limb.
Okay.
Right. I didn't mind football, because when I always relate this story to who I'm coaching now, they're like blown away. Like, they're like, wait, you didn't play, I was like, yeah. I was like, think about that. I'm always envious of you guys. I never got to play 1 minute of organized soccer.
Wow.
Obviously, as an adult, I've played, we played in the adult leagues here and indoor at the bottom of the grade at Camarillo Springs we started over 30. Now we're over 50.
Yeah.
But never 1 minute of organized soccer that I get to play.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, well, I guess it's a different time, different generation. Because soccer, it wasn't big.
And that's even living in LA with, you have a big Latino influence, right? And it just still wasn't, right? I mean, even then, LA was, basketball because of John Wooden.
Oh, I love Wooden.
Right. I was very fortunate, right? I mean, growing up in Norwalk, you're in a suburb of LA, so all of us, no matter what sport, you learn a pyramid of success, right?
Yeah?
Because,
did you? I want to hear about this.
Absolutely.
I love Wooden.
Please, are you kidding?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
I still try to invoke some of that when I'm coaching now, as far as the boys and their attitude and us holding each other accountable. It's not my job, right? It's your team, right? It's your job. It's not my job, right? What does it matter to me? I'm just the coach.
Yeah.
But if you want success and you want to get better, right? And then the failure thing, somehow that got lost in translation for a lot of years with coaches, right? Is, ridiculing kids for when they make mistakes, right? What are they going to do? Then they're not going to make mistakes. And Wooden always said, when they'd ask him, well, who's going to win, coach? He'd be like, well, the team who takes the bigger, risk, right?
Yeah.
Bigger risk, bigger reward. You put yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I love telling my
good things will
players
happen,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, are you kidding? I ate that stuff up.
I mean, I have...
everybody wears the same uniform. You put your socks on the same way. We all tie our shoes left over right. Think about it. Think about the guys he told this to. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Walton, and Jamal Wilkes.
Yeah. It's funny to think about Wooden teaching his college players to tie their shoes, and the number of times we have to tell our kids,
tie your shoes.
Hey, your shoes untied.
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh.
We get a break. What's the first thing you say, right? Tie your boot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I had a player today, had both his shoes untied right in the middle of practice. I was like,
oh.
How do you not notice that?
So all of those things add up, right?
Yeah.
And it's really funny because, like, as a player, my high school was Excelsior High School. We were horrible, right? Horrible. So, we were just small and we played inner city and just got killed. And then go into coaching and kind of take all those little things and things from coaches that I played for.
Yeah.
The good things start happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's fun to take, like, the best parts of all the different coaches that you have. The things that stick with you that you don't know why they do,
I loved one of my high school coaches, Jeff Brinkley, and he ended up going to Huntington Beach. They just inducted him into the Hall of Fame for tackle football. But
as a player, as a coach?
As a coach.
Oh, cool.
I just liked how he respected us. I never had a coach, like, how you were talking about your high school coach. Jeff was like the first guy to motivate me. You know what I mean? He was like the first guy to ask me, well, what do you think? You know what I mean? Coaches back then, they didn't ask for input, right? You were always dictated. This is what we do. This is what we play. This is how we slant. You know what I mean? They just ruined it. You know what I mean? They were telling you everything to do. You couldn't think for yourself, right? If there was a change in the line, you had to look to the sideline for the coach to give you the signals. Just ruined it. Just ruined it.
So your high school coach was the first one that sort of made you think.
Yeah.
And that's really where the learning happens.
Right. And let us, he made me the captain of the defense. I played linebacker, and was just, my stepdad used to say I was made for that, right? I'm great at getting in the way. But yeah, he would let us call the plays and let us call the defense, and of course our luck changed.
I feel like that's trickier in football though, because there's such structured plays.
Yeah,
as opposed to soccer, where it's very free flowing and like. I don't know.
There's similarities because teams have tendencies, and you just watch film like everything. It's like, linemen give things away, with the way they're leaning and pressure on their knuckles. And
I see. The little cues.
There's little cues. Some backs, you can look at a back and they always look where they're going to run. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like us where there's stuff. I always think that's why I gravitated to coaching soccer. I was like, this is the one sport that adults don't ruin it for the kids, right? Well, my job on game day is not. I feel like I shouldn't be coaching then, right? Yeah. It's like I should have prepared them all week so that when we get to the game, they go out and they play the game, because that's the lesson, right? Mm-hmm. They either listen and apply or they don't.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a great learning tool, right? Because if you say, hey, we talked about playing wide and we talked about you guys move into space, and did we do that? No. And what was the outcome?
Right.
So maybe we try it next time.
Do you coach high school?
Yeah.
And you coach club soccer, youth soccer?
Youth.
What's the difference in your approach to those two teams?
Oh
or
my
is
gosh.
there a difference?
Are you kidding? Absolutely. Like I said, because the older guys, it's different.
Yeah.
Right. Most of those guys are playing in the ENCL or better, or the MLS Next.
Yeah.
Right. For the guys coming back now. And it's just a different, it's great because I don't have to talk about all the details with them, right? We can go straight into strategy. We can talk about, planning for specific teams. Because, even though you change your preseason up, you still play the same teams all the time. So everybody knows everybody's routine, right? So it's just preparing for the different styles of play, depending on who we play. There's some schools that are still playing like it's 1972 and play very direct and very physical. And then you got, other schools that are like all of us trying to progress to what we see coming out of Man City or out of Barca and, the total football thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I watched a video about that last night. About space and all of it.
I've been watching Ted Lasso, and did you see in there he's reading the inverted pyramid?
I haven't noticed that.
So I just noticed that. I watched it again for the third time with my wife. And I saw that book, and I've never heard of this. So I just was looking it up before we started. And I'm going to get that and see it.
It's a real book?
It's a real book, and it's a history of soccer. And the coaches who innovated and brought the new changes that we do now.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Inverting the pyramid. It's like $18.
Yeah. Not $5.
Not $5.
Not like it used to be.
I'm telling you, Patrick, when I bought that was like a big family commitment, man, to commit that $5.
That was birthday and Christmas.
Right? It was just like, wow, $4.95, man, that's a lot for a paperback.
Yeah, it's funny.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So you think about relative stuff like that, right? It's like, yeah, I'd spend $5 on a cup of coffee.
Gosh, well, thank goodness I don't drink coffee.
Me either.
All my money would be gone.
But you know what I mean? It's like, yeah you can trash $4.50. We went to Santa Barbara for the solstice thing this weekend. I spent $4.50 for a 10-ounce Coke.
They'll get you. It doesn't sense.
Right. So, but anyway, yeah. But little guys though, going to the high school guys, it's business and representing the school and wanting. It's kind of funny. You don't really see people come to scout at high school anymore. It's all happening at the showcases.
Yeah. The MLS Next.
Right.
Have you had a trouble recruiting kids because they're just not allowed to play in high school anymore?
Only the MLS Next guys.
Right. Is that I just imagine if I were a high school coach, I would totally ruin the program.
I'm fortunate we still have a lot of talent, and I'm not the only one affected by it, right? Because it's hit all of us. I felt really bad for Moore Park High School. Manny had a really good team, and then some of those boys made a next team, and they nixed them. So he lost, the core of his squad.
That's
so
tough.
He went from, contender, division leader, going to be a prominent force to got to build and start all over again, because of...
They just undercut the high schools.
And I don't get it. When I first started coaching at Cam High, Eagles was doing that. Eagles was telling their boys not to come play at the high school.
Really?
Yeah. And so, of course, we're a small community, right? So I went and saw Frankie, and I was just like, dude, come on. If you don't know anything, it was my first year coming, in. I was just like, I can't mess up your kids in 3 months.
Hopefully.
You know what I mean? Because, high school season's quick. November we start, and then you're done in February.
It is a quick season.
Right? So I'm like, how bad can I muck them up? I was like, and then I was served in the Navy, and so I'm military kind of trained. So, if anything, I believe in fitness. And so, I was like, so at least, if they play for me.
Yeah, they can be in shape.
They'll be in shape when they come back. You have to go dark anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, the pitch worked, right? Because the next season, some of those guys came out, and it just changed our program. Because in the following year, when they saw they didn't break, and it was actually good,
they
right?
got better.
That we had more guys come out,
Interesting.
And now it's really interesting, right? Because I have guys from all over, Because I always like to tell the boys now, when I first started coaching at Camarillo High, if somebody even showed up mistakenly at a tryout, it was like, hey, welcome to the team, son. Come on in. And now we're competitive. I just had soft frost tryouts, and I had like 60 kids for 20 spots.
Wow.
And I'm trying to make it so they kind of understand, because some of these guys, this is the first time they're going to see, any kind of rejection, right? And they're just not used to that, right? Parents are always saying, Patrick, you're special. Patrick, you're one of a kind.
Yeah, well, I never got that.
Yeah. And then, you hate to break it to them, but, you're just one of the pack. You're just, you know what I mean? So so the kids really struggle that. But, the point was like, look, every kid that probably is on that team is playing club somewhere.
Yeah. They didn't just show up.
Right.
This is the first day.
Right. Like in the old days, guys would just, like, hey, what are we doing today, man? Let's go eat breakfast, and then let's go over and try out for soccer.
Yeah.
It's like,
what? I feel like kids are better than ever these days,
Oh, as far as athleticism?
Skill.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
So
it's funny you say it, and back to your question. So the high schools are different. The little guys, you got to entertain them, right? Just their generation, right? It's like, if you don't keep your practice fluid, you lost them. And once you lose them, in old times, if I kind of had someone coming off the rails, something's not going well, I could always kind of steer it back in and get it back on some kind of track. But these guys, man, if the wheels fall off, forget about it. They're done. They're just done. It's either they're all in and they get it and they're performing, or, if you let them squirrel, they're out.
Is your oldest club team 2012?
2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're a year older at this point than when we played each other last season.
Yes.
But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like, because I also have a 2010 team, and there's definitely a difference between, just 2 years, but difference in mentality and, what they're there to do, not just mess around. And I mean, we still have fun.
Yep.
But if we need to get on the line and do some sprints, they understand what we're doing.
Oh, please, yeah. I like to torment them with push-ups, and not a lot. Just enough to make them get down, right? Yeah. It's the inconvenience more than it is
it's the inconvenience.
Exercise, right? So usually if they're mouthing off or they're asking stupid questions after you've just made a, given direction, and then somebody raises their hand, as they always do, and say, Coach, how many touches? How many minutes do we have? Give me 5 push-ups.
Yeah. I can hear my middle school coach just say, Patrick, take a lap. Take a lap. I got told that all the time. Take a lap.
You learn, right? If I was like, take a lap for every knucklehead, well, I won't get practice done, because I'll be missing half of them. They won't get back in time.
And then sometimes they say, oh, we like laps. We just want to keep running. Like, no, we have to get back to soccer, please.
Right? But these guys are ahead. To your comment about the athleticism, the older boys practice next to me, with Mike Caron's team, and so they're watching us, and they're just watching me, and they're like, Coach, you're getting them to do stuff that we don't do real well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I laugh and I go, yeah, think about that statement.
Every generation gets better.
You're 16.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you're 16. He's 9, right? And I can get him to do the 2-touch turn, when we can't execute that at the high school.
Do you think the coaching has gotten better?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
By
you think that's what
far,
it is? Part
yes.
of it?
Part of it. I mean, look, for us, I was born in the 60s. Guys coaching me, they were just dads. You know what I mean? I mean, we're all dads. Mm-hmm. Don't take that the wrong way, right? We all have those roles we play, but we were all in that position. Like, I was like every other person. I started coaching in ASO only because they called and like, hey, your son doesn't play.
Just like Pat.
Yeah. Your son doesn't play if you don't coach a team. Well, what are you going to say to that? Okay, I guess I'm coaching
That's
the team.
such a weird thing to get a call about.
Oh, that's classic. Classic AYSO.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because when you're in the bigger programs, people don't think about, if you have 3,000 kids, well, that's times 3 for adults, to support it with coach, assistant coach, and team manager. Mm-hmm. And then you got to come up with a bubble of referees to do those 200 games every weekend.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of volunteerism. A lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right? So God, I didn't know that much back then, because I only played it with friends and at school and stuff. We were never really organized. We didn't run passing patterns, we were never pressing or, one-on-ones and run, you know what I mean?
Or trapping, or creating space and making runs.
No one mentioned any of that stuff, right? No one, And then, of course, it doesn't help when the national team is not doing very well either, and those were the dark years for us,
Well, even now, it's surprising. Like, those are the best 11 players we have in this country? I don't think so. It's like,
I don't want to diss them, but...
we have so much talent in this country.
We have so much talent. But I think our day is coming. I think just that little mini tournament in the CONCACAF, that was not even, I think, like you said, that's not our best 11. And we still... Actually... I liked what the assistant coach was doing with Greg being gone, right? I was just like, hey, I like the way this guy's playing. And it kind of played to Pat's interview about, hey, you have to figure out what works for us, what works for the U.S. team. We can't play Toki. That's not us.
Yeah.
Because we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. We could eventually get there, right? But we're not
technical enough.
Yeah, we're not there. We're not ready for total football, right? We're still, and I thought just he was genius in changing it up, and they played a little more direct, right? A lot of 1-2s and a lot of quick play out, and look, and getting Pulisic on the edge, or oh my gosh, I can't, or Musa, is that how I say it right? Mm-hmm. Look, they were just eating them up on the edge. It looked promising. Mm-hmm. But I agree, it's not our best athletes yet. Yeah. But I mean, look, what I had to grow up with. I mean, for an American to play abroad, we could only play one position. Goalkeeper, right? Because we had basketball training or baseball training or something that trained us hand-eye coordination, right? So it was decent, right? Yeah. I mean, how long did we go before we finally Dempsey was the redemption, right? He was the first guy that got a real contract to play something besides goalkeeper.
Plus, I just think, like, when Europe or other parts of the world are recruiting and looking for players, they're not looking for U.S. players.
Oh. We have too many distractions. Yeah. Right? Because, all of our kids here can still go play football, baseball, basketball, hockey.
Yeah. It's like the rest of the world plays one sport.
Yeah, we play 10.
And we play 10.
Golf, tennis.
Golf's not a sport. Golf's not a sport.
But you're right? Look, and especially living in Southern California, right? Look how many distractions we have, right? Kids can just be skateboarders. You can just...
I do love skateboarding.
Right? You can just do that or surf. Mm-hmm. Growing up in Norwalk, Long Beach is right there. As kids, we all dragged boards on our bikes down the storm drain ditch, to go down to Long Beach to surf,
It's cool, though. That's really cool.
So, surf or...
Skate
or, soccer.
Yeah.
right? Because like you said, surfing is like a spiritual part of it, right? I mean, there is a part of that carries with you forever, right? So it was a sad day for me. You know, I used to have an old San Miguel and at dual fin. My wife, unknowns to me, loaned it to somebody and it never came home.
Oh no.
But we had started kids, and so it was like years before I noticed my board was gone.
Oh no. Wow.
Because when kids happen, all that stuff stops, right?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, we always have before kids conversations. We used to do this before kids.
Before kids. How many kids do you have?
3.
3 kids?
I had a son and 2 daughters. And so my son, we did the normal rotation. Well, I say normal. You know, he did AYSO when he was 7, and then he wanted to play Pop Warner. So, and I think
What is Pop Warner?
Football,
Okay.
tackle. And I think my dad was, Grandpa was influencing that decision. You know what I mean? You know, because that's what boys do. You know, when you
Play football.
You play football, right?
I always wanted to play football, but it was during soccer season, and I chose soccer.
So see, I went. I went the other way. You know?
I for some reason it never occurred to me that I could be a kicker.
Yeah.
Just be on the sideline. I mean, it's a lot of time for a very short amount of play time.
But having seen football, is like, do kickers really spend a lot of time there? Because even my high school kicker was from our soccer team. So he practiced with the soccer team. He came out on Thursdays because we played Friday night.
Yeah.
Ran through special teams, kicked a few field goals, and then, show up to the game. He didn't even come to the pregame stuff, like where we went to Sizzler and got food. And
maybe it's different for every coach.
Yeah. He just showed up, kicked extra points and field goals, and went home.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we were having a decent season, and he's part of the reason why we lost, because we lost him. We lost him towards the end of the season, so he was unavailable.
Because he went to go.
So. Because
he was playing soccer.
He wasn't playing soccer. He was here illegally. So.
I see.
So that happened. So we lost him, right? It's one of those great stories, right? It's like, are you kidding me? Really? All the things that we could be doing in INS is looking for a 15-year-old.
Yeah, kicker. Must have been from the other team.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
But thinking about the soccer thing. So yeah, it's like men's soccer was very dark when I was a kid, right? And they weren't very successful. So what did we have for role models?
Yeah. I think when, soccer came on TV just like 5 years ago or something like that, when APL got their big TV contract. And
that's a huge difference, right? Huge.
Because I remember soccer on TV as a kid, but like at my rich friends' houses that bought the sports package.
Yeah. Well, see, when I was a kid, what sports package, as I was alluding to earlier, right? There was 6 channels in LA. You had, the 3 basic NBC, CBS, ABC, and then the affiliate stuff, right? No cable.
Yeah, but I remember watching the World Cup. I was like 98, so 8 years old. And I was at my Brazil one at that year, and I was at my friend's house who was Brazilian. I remember his dad.
So that's a good party.
I remember his dad staying up late to watch the game because it was a different time zone, I think it was in Korea.
Yeah, Korea.
That year. But that was like my only time watching soccer until like high school.
Right. And I really try to stress that with my youngers now, right? It's because it's available, right?
Just go watch soccer on the weekends. Saturday morning, just turn it on.
I'm like, what else are you doing? You're watching anyway, so just put that on. Watch a game. There's nuances you only learn from watching or playing, right? And that's the best teacher, because that's where you can at least see your idols doing it, right? When you're trying to get them to move to space and create, half of them, like when you say half of that stuff, they didn't even understand it.
They don't have it. They need an example.
Right. So at least if they're watching the game, I can be like, hey, how many of you guys, I watched Nottingham Forest when they upset, was it Arsenal that they beat? Right? And I was like, how many of you guys watched that game? Great strategy by the coach, and look what the players were doing. And they were all like,
no idea.
What?
No idea.
Coach, there was a game on last night?
You sound like one of my players.
And then I kind of put that on the parents some, because I'm like, hey, if you aspire for your kid to improve,
It's a great tool.
This is part of the learning process.
You know, I got injured sophomore year of college when I was playing.
Oh, and that's tough.
And I missed the whole season.
Yeah.
But I watched the whole season. And junior year, I was like, oh, it's so easy.
Yeah, you're ready.
Just do this, you know? But it took me a whole season of just watching, and I didn't know I would get better. Because this is before soccer was on TV most of the time.
At
all. And I was just, you know, sitting on the bench, watching all these games, watching all the practices, and it's like the next year I just got it. It's like, oh, just easy.
What I love is when guys are injured and they're out there with me at practice, and then they see it from your side of the ball, right? They see the perspective of trying to get something to happen, and then they're like, oh, coach, this is so different sitting here. Now I understand, right? Now I understand.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, good. Let's see that when you go out there.
Do you have any player coaches on the field that really sort of take command while they play?
For the high school, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. I have a couple of kids that are playing higher level, and they're just brilliant. You know, TB, if you're listening, he's amazing. I'm fortunate to have him at the school, and he just runs. He's my field general.
Yeah.
You know, I can tell him, hey, I never understand this. You know, it's like, I try to put it in perspective for players. It's like, you know, okay, how old are you? You know, you were born in whatever year, 2009, whatever, you know, and I'll be like, okay, so I've been coaching here at Camarillo since 2007.
Wow, really, that long?
So, yeah, I was a JV coach for 8 years before I took over Varsity.
That's cool.
But, you know, I was like, I think I've seen a few things. And when you're trying to share that with them, a lot of those guys won't take that information. You know, they just...
You think that's more recent or even in the past when you started coaching?
More recent.
Yeah.
More recent. Because the last couple of years, we've had really good teams. And you know, we're in a playoff game last year at Little Rock, and I've got a guy arguing with me about, you know, the tactics at halftime when it's 0-0.
One of the players on your team?
Yeah, one of my seniors, you know? And I'm just like, and a couple other guys, thank God, you know, they're like, really? You really think we should do something different? You know, because
you're in it.
We're in it.
Yeah.
We just haven't stuck one yet. You know, we're in it.
Sometimes when we're playing really well, the kids on the bench are like, put me in.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd be like, wait, are we doing really well right now? They're like, yeah. Like, I don't want to change anything. You know, it's when we're doing poorly, that's when I change things.
You don't want to break the rhythm, right?
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
It was good. I think they understood. Like, oh, I get it.
Teams that we have really succeeded with, you know, is we've had that relationship where, like, hey, you know, here's what I see, here's what I think, and my captains will take that, and I love it. They'll take the board and they'll work it themselves. You know, I love that, right? I was like, I love, you know, and of course we're listening and like, you know, what do you think? And I was like, because who's better than them, right? Because they're the guys busting their ass out there on the pitch, you know? And it's like, it's funny that when we have that relationship, we do well. You know, when I have, you know, guys who are questioning it because they obviously know more about the game than I do, you know, because ask them, they'll tell you.
And they're watching too much soccer.
Right. Then we struggle, you know?
Yeah.
And I always tell them, hey, don't get caught up in the body, you know? It's like, you know, I'm the typical, you know, weekend warrior. It's like I've used up my body, you know, there's nothing left, you know, the knees shot, you know, it's just shot, you know, I can't do all that anymore. But this is still pretty sharp, you know?
You can see things quicker.
I can still,
right,
analyze and give you feedback that you could use. Just saying.
I play in an adult league in Santa Clarita, and I would say 2 seasons ago, there was one team that was like clearly like just out of college, or maybe some of them are in college. And I was like, okay, they're going to be faster than us, but we're going to be smarter than them. And we beat them.
Imagine that, right?
Yeah. It was like, you know, we've got like 30, 40, 50-year-olds on our team, and we beat these 20-year-olds.
Yeah, but you know,
know?
when I was younger and I would run with the teams, you can get in their head, right? Because they get caught up in the machismo part of it of wanting to beat you one-on-one, where you have support, you know, where if they would even make one pass, you know, as a group of the coaching staff, we would laugh because it would like, you know, if they made one pass, they would kill us.
Yeah.
Because they're 3 times faster than I'll ever be, you know, at 55, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're so caught up in, I want to beat coach, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you just sort of use that against them.
Right? So it's funny you say that, because I can believe that, right? I can believe that, because like you said, you just play smarter, right?
And I think that's what like the year off when I was injured taught me. Just smarter. And even coaching, like I started coaching right after college. I got an opportunity to coach in my high school. And I'd tell them to do things, and then I would do the things. I'd play in an adult league there, and I'd do the things that I was telling my kids to do. And I was like, oh, this is working. So even when I became a coach, I became a better player.
Oh.
Because it just, even more of it clicked for me.
That was why I always enjoyed playing in the adult leagues here, because I think when you don't continue, you kind of forget sometimes what you're asking, right? Because you can be like, oh, come on, Patrick. Why can't you make that sprint back, you know, in the transition?
That's a good point.
Right? Where it's like, well, because you just, you know, you were just there and now we broke out and now we lost the ball. So now you're recovering. So that 40-yard sprint I'm asking for is actually 100, you know, and 20 yards.
I've never even thought about that. That like, I can't picture a time where I'm coaching and not playing. You know, if I'm coaching, I'm still playing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that day comes. Because playing as an adult, I broke my ankle twice and tore my meniscus the last time. So that was...
Unfortunately, that day comes.
Right, yeah. So that was my body.
I'll go back to goalkeeper then.
Yeah. Right? You know, you know, the ortho I see in Camarillo, I used to see Percival, and, you know, and he's great. He was just like, look, this is your body telling you.
Go easy.
Yeah, you can't do this anymore. Like you say, all right, go easy, play keeper.
Yeah.
Bring refreshments. It's an adult league.
Yes. Yeah, sub yourself out sometimes.
But I enjoyed that, right? Because it keeps it in perspective, right? Because it's, you know, you see parents do it all the time, right? They're yelling at their kid, and it's like, well, that's an easy call for you to make, sitting in your chair in the shade. You know, this poor kid has been out here playing for 25 minutes, playing as hard as he can.
Yeah. What's the parent dynamic in high school versus club?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Because they have to stay up in the stands.
Yeah.
So I'm very isolated from them. So that's the draw of coaching high school, is it's just you and the players. It's so nice. I will do it as long as Camarillo will let me be there. They'll find me dead on that field because it's just a unique experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we all coach for one reason or the other. If you would have told me I would ever be this soccer coach, even Coach Brinkley, Jeff and I still talk, and he laughs, you know, that all these years later I've been coaching soccer, because he's like, oh, I could have saw you as a coach.
But not a soccer coach.
It's not soccer.
So tell me about your, like, what makes you coach? Why do you coach? What do you love about coaching?
You know what I like? You know what I love about coaching this sport is, like, it goes back to the earlier comments, is because I feel like as adults and the competitiveness in us, we're ruining sports for kids. How many burnouts do you see at 12? Or,
hopefully none.
You know,
yeah,
14, definitely by 16.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, you know, because they're just tired of the grind.
Just grinding.
Yeah, it's a grind, and it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yes, every level you go up, of course, there is more. As you know, you've played higher level, you know, there's more to it, you know. But it should still be...
Yeah, I was definitely burned out in college.
You know what I mean? It should still be fun. If we're not having fun, because I even tell the high school guys that if we're not having fun, then I failed you as the coach, because we should take care of business, but we should still be able to have those moments where we have fun.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a kid's game.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Yeah.
And so
don't be so serious. We're just playing a game.
Right? It's just a game. And so I've seen that in all the other sports, right? It's like I said, I coached Roadrunners for years with Desi and some of those guys, and we had some success there. And
what is Roadrunners?
Tackle football.
Okay.
And then of course, did AYSO and it's funny because in soccer, the whole thing for me started in soccer was because my older daughter was playing, and I was really unhappy with his coach, and it was AYSO. So poor guy, strong
volunteer
arm,
coaches,
right? Strong armed into coaching, you get what you get, right? You either get somebody who cares
and who knows a little bit about the game,
or you get the guy who is like, hey, your kid doesn't play if you don't coach the team. But anyway, so my wife was like, this guy's volunteering, you're not. So she's like, so you either shut up, sit down,
or be part of the solution,
right? Or you go out there and you make it better. So I was like, challenge accepted, right?
So that's how you got into it.
And then for me, shoot, after the first season with Megan, I was hooked,
Yeah.
because I just love the whole dynamic of it, right? The kids are just smarter, better, you know what I mean? It's just a different type of athlete, and I just like how they are, and the
You mean soccer players?
And the teaming part of it that they get that you don't necessarily get in other sports. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, and then we don't ruin it. Look, my job is prepare you for Saturday. Saturday, it's your show. It's my job. We'll take notes. Tuesday, we go back to work. And then the rewarding part is, and I think I would see it more so with them because we had that relationship going and they were really attuned and listening and trying to get better. You go out and you do a plan and you practice it. And then, like you said, the light switches on, right? And then it's just poetry, right? It's just beautiful to watch, and you're just like, wow. It's like, we just worked on this for 2 weeks, look at this, isn't this crazy? You know what I mean? And I was hooked from then, man. I was just like, I love this sport.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love coaching. I love being a part of a team. I love being outside and interacting with people, as opposed to like a desk job where you.
Well, I have that too, but yeah.
But I just
No, you're right, and meeting the kids, right? Mm-hmm. It's like when I think about it, as I was alluding to before we started, it's like I coached here with Fusion for 9 years. Mm-hmm. So I took 2 teams that we went from 0 to silver, elite, and gold before they aged out.
Good.
So it was fun, right? It was fun. It was fun to see the development. And it was really fun with my second group after. It's kind of like raising your kids, right? You make your mistake with your oldest kid, right? And by the time you get to the third kid, you know what's important. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like after coaching AYSO and then coaching a little bit of club with my daughter and then going into full-blown club with the boys, by the time I got here, you know what's important, and you have to be a great salesman, right? Because you got to tell the parents to be patient. Because Americans want to win, and they want to win.
They want to win all the time.
Right now, right? Right now, and right, because if you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby.
Shake and bake. But it's a joke, but there's so much truth to it, right? Yeah. There's just such a competitiveness that we have to win right now, and these guys really bought into like, look, this is a process. If we do it right, we will progress. Mm-hmm. But you have to be patient, because we were doing the usual routine, taking a AYSO all-star team, transitioning to club, so there's 2 learning curves going on there, right? So it's like, once you get accustomed to the style of play and then get accustomed to the difference in coaching, we will have progress, but you've got to be patient. You can't go in.
And you have to stick with it. I feel like my team changes every 6 months. It's like whole new.
It's the current age, you know. Do you get that with your?
Yes,
team? we're going into our down period right now, right? I had just 2 people just quit after we had tryouts. We had tryouts a month ago. If they would have said something then, I could have picked up people to replace them, right? They said nothing. Now it's time to sign, to prepare for fall.
Yeah,
we're not going to play. And it's like,
it's tough.
I respect, you do what's best for your family. I have no problem with that. But really, I feel like after coaching your son for a year, that I've at least earned
a little bit of heads up.
A little bit of heads up. In today's world, just a text. Hey, coach, not coming back. Thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's tough. No.
Then to get blindsided, it's like, because I'm down to 10 players. So, how do I, you don't want just bodies, because we're trying to progress.
You could come join Fusion.
Yeah.
We'll combine our teams.
Because, I did pick up a couple of boys, and I'm proud to say for the boys that have been working for the full year now, you see the 2 new guys and the rest of them, and there's a difference. Even one of the parents made the comment like, hey, when the ball goes to this side to these 2, it stops. And I was just like, that's where we were a year ago. So I was like, totally not their fault. They've got to learn to do what the other half's doing.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's a difference to
right.
people that have been playing club for a year or 2.
And that's why I was pointing out, I was like, hey, these boys have been playing for a year with us. These guys have been playing with us since January. So let's cut them a little slack, right? They'll catch up, just not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Did you played in the Newbury Park League, right?
So, yes.
In the spring?
Enjoyed it, right?
Yeah, it was a good league.
I mean, I thought considering all the rain and all that, I don't know how they pulled it off to get our games in.
Yeah, it was a scheduling nightmare.
We only got, hosed one weekend where we had 2 games back to back. So
it's not bad.
Because, she texted me, she was kind of worried. I'm like, look, I've been involved in all kinds of stuff, so I understand. So you just tell us where to be.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be there.
I thought it was better than Cal South because Cal South just can't figure it out. It's like,
do they want to figure it out?
I don't know. You've been here longer than I have.
They've been doing it for a couple of days, and that's why I wasn't playing there, right?
Because I think that's why everyone went to the Newbury Park League, because they were just upset with Cal South, and I don't know if Cal South sees that, or understands it.
The only way they're going to understand it is if we affect them in the money.
Well, we certainly did.
Right? So, with,
Newbury Park League certainly did.
300 teams playing in Newbury Park?
Yeah.
Maybe they got the message.
Maybe they got the message. It was just like, there's no reason to have silver teams and bronze, and it's just, get hosed.
And you're in the same, I'm building a team. How does it help me building a team, like you said, if I'm going to go play an experienced silver team? Where do we...
Just defending all game for our lives.
Right. We're parking the bus, holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
What did we learn?
Playing all the tricks to run out the time.
What did how did that value added for my kids?
Yeah.
No, I like what she did, and all my games were really good. I don't know about you, but I could have won any of those games.
Yeah.
Right. We had some go the other way, but I was trying out kids. I love the fact that she let us just bring kids, and we could try them out without a lot of registration and a lot of red tape, right?
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to look at 5 or 6 kids, that I don't know another venue where I would have had that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like playing in a game. You can't do it and replicate it in practice.
I mean, you've played, you've coached. You can look at a kid and they can be super in drills, and they can look super in the scrimmage. But then when they get on the pitch, it gets postage stamp size.
Or even the flip side.
Right?
They can be bad at practice.
Oh, yeah.
And playing the great game. It's like, oh, I never saw that.
I do. I have one of those. I have one, my sweeper, the big, tall, blonde kid. He was horrible when I put him in small-sided and possession stuff. Horrible. Right? And then when we finally got out on the pitch to see how they play in space, and it's like, oh my God.
Some kids are just gamers.
Right? This kid's a monster.
They just live for the game.
Right?
Yeah.
Put me in a game, don't bother me with the trivia stuff, right? It's like, you have to do the trivia
You have to do that to get better.
Right?
Yeah. Or like, one of my other things is like if a kid isn't super skilled, we'll like do sprints at the end of practice to see if they're fast.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you've got speed. We'll give you a second chance.
Hey, that's the oldest adage in the coaching book, right? I can teach everything,
But speed. Yeah.
Right?
Speed is a gift.
Speed is definitely a gift. And you take it whenever it comes.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty blessed with speed on my older team.
Well, I feel like that way in Camarillo. Camarillo has just all these speedsters.
Yeah.
There's just guys fast all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, what is in the water? you know, Camarillo water is horrible, but obviously something in it is working, right? Because it's like, damn, these kids are fast.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just there's the kid didn't make our team, but he tried out for us, and his dad was just chatting us up, you know, and his kid's running for Cosmos, the Camarillo running program. But the kid is a 9 or 10-year-old, and he ran a sub 5 minute.
Wow, mile. That's impressive. It's really fast.
Right. 9-year-old.
He's gonna be a D1 athlete in the mile.
Because that was the weight and balance there, right? It was like, okay, the kid is really fast, and I did get him into one of the Newbury Park games, but he looked
out of place.
He was way out of place, right? He had no clue.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh. Well, because you have to weigh that, right? Do I really want to take on that project? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, oh, he's so far behind. I just don't know if it's worth it. And then if he really truly is a runner, I may lose him anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you deal with your kids playing multiple sports?
You know what? You're going to laugh because I may be one of the few, but I encourage my kids to play other sports.
I do to an extent as well.
Right? So, yeah, as long as it doesn't interfere with our season.
It's only because, like, I wish I had played more sports as a kid. You know, it's like, kids don't understand. You could try anything as a kid and get away with it.
Right.
You can't do that as an adult. Those opportunities are gone.
I don't even know if you can do that once you're in high school, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right. I would even ratchet it down to into that 15, 16-year age range too. No, you can't, right? No, I tell because I have a couple of my kids play basketball. I think 4 of my boys play baseball.
Yeah,
you know,
I have a lot of baseball.
Because I tell, why not? I mean, Patrick, why not?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what if little Lonnie is, you know, he's a serviceable soccer player, but, you know, you never let him play another sport, and then he's 14 or 15, and he goes out there and he kills it playing basketball. Or, you know, he's a pitching phenom, picks up a baseball and throws it for the first time 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, when, you know, again, going back to the no TV and none of that stuff for us as kids, we cycled through sports, right? That's all we ever did. You know,
like flipping the channel.
Right. It was like whatever is in season. Football season, we're out there playing flag football, right? You know, it's basketball season, we're playing basketball, right? After basketball, we would usually split. It would usually go between over the line, or we would play just incredible amounts of soccer, like all night, every night. Norwalk La Mirada used to run a midnight league, 3v3.
Really? A midnight league?
To keep us out of trouble.
Wow.
Right? And believe it or not, it was packed. If you didn't sign up early, you wouldn't get on it. You wouldn't get in, you know, because they would fill up like that.
That sounds fun.
They did it for basketball first, and I think they had so much success with it, they were like, hey, you know, let's
try something else.
Yeah, let's see what's soccer. And I was like, hello, you're in Norwalk, you know. It's like, yeah, that's gonna go over, you know.
Yeah.
So it was fun, right? We were always doing stuff, right, where these guys just don't do it. And then I like to try to stay fresh, right? Because that's always the challenge as I'm aging as a coach and I'm coaching younger guys, is what I'm still saying relevant? So I'm always looking for stuff, you know, to help me. But the Cal Ripken study, right, of the kids, you know, that are hyper-focused and in one sport, they overuse certain muscles and they don't develop, you know, where, you know, kids that are playing multiple sports, they develop and they're more well-rounded and they're, you know.
Coordinated, more balanced, stronger in different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So I really took that one to heart and tried to say, hey.
There's a good book that I listened to recently called Range.
Really?
That's basically that premise. It's like you have to allow people and kids to try new things, and you have to give them time because late bloomers are a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he just case study after case study, example after example of like, you know, this part of the world did this group of kids did this, and it worked. And it started off like the intro was about like Tiger Woods and his super focused, you know, approach to golf versus, I think it was a tennis player who started off in high school because he was playing other sports, so he's still athletic and active, but like picked up tennis and is also a pro. So it's like, you know, you have to keep that balance.
Because, you know, I really, and we're victims of our own. You know, how many times do you see someone's like, hey, we got to get little Patrick committed, right? He's got to get started. You know, if you want him to play D1, we got to get him on the path now at 6.
Yeah, that's what I tell my parents. It's like,
you know, and it's like, what are we doing?
It's like all the best players are playing more than twice a week, you know? And it's like, if you want that, that's great, but you have to be committed to it. And if you don't want to be committed to it, that's great too. You just have to understand we're not going to beat these top teams.
Right. The progression will be slower.
That are just hounding after it, you know?
Yeah.
So...
yeah. I know I got a couple of players because of that reason, right? Like word got around that like, hey, I'm coaching this team and I'm, you know, letting them play other sports. You know, I just think it makes them better.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course I try to go support them and try to go watch the different games and stuff for them, right? Because it's really funny to watch them, and for whatever reason they get nervous, right?
Yeah,
it's
you don't
like,
want to mess them up.
Right? It's like, oh my God, coach is here, you know? So it's like, okay, so I quit saying I'm coming and I just show up, you know? Yeah. So when it's over, you can be like, hey, it was pretty fun, you know? And as season 1 kid, I went and watched his basketball game and they were in the playoffs in the CYBA. And I was just saying, well, how unique is this? Because he scored like 10 points in his basketball game and then ended up scoring for us in our soccer game.
That's cool.
So I was like, hey, how many guys can raise their hand and say, I scored a basket today and a goal?
Yeah. I mean, that's an athlete. You want to keep him around.
Right. So, you know, he was like, oh, I didn't think about that. And I'm like, yes, that's pretty unique. That's a rare animal, right?
Yeah. Kids might not understand how good they are at sports.
Right.
You know? Until
you kind of...
yeah, like, what you're doing is special.
Right?
You know, it doesn't seem special to you, but we're all like, oh, that's impressive.
Because like you said, some of these guys are such good athletes. They're like, you mean everybody can't do that? You know?
Yeah.
No.
Not everyone's as fast as me. There's a reason I'm just beating people in races is because I'm fast. Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, I thought that was unique, you know. And then I got another kid. I guess Logan's a pretty good pitcher. So I never got to see him pitch, but I guess he's doing pretty good. So he had like a no-hitter, but at 9, how hard is it? In my opinion, you know, how hard is it to throw a no-hitter at 9? I mean, you could hit every batter, and it's a no-hitter.
Yeah. I don't know if I could ever get into baseball, but I wanted to try football. And I've appreciated basketball a lot more lately.
So from coaching in football parents are brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, brutal.
In what way?
So I went into Roadrunners, and it's like I had a little success playing tackle football, you know, and you know, so it's like any sport, you can pass on what you learn. So anyway, this program really struggled. They didn't win a game, so they suckered some of us in to come in to help coach this team, and you know, taking what you see and what you know and doing it. Well, we had success, and we lost in the Super Bowl on the last play of the game. So it's like, it's everything you could hope for, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, we lost, and that part, you know, stung for a minute, but I mean, we lost in the championship game on the last play.
There's a lot to be proud of.
Right. If we score, we win. If they stop us, they win. They stopped us, you know, we lost. But a year ago, they didn't even win a game. Mm-hmm. But one of the parents was unhappy because I didn't play their kid a lot, and my coach's gift was how to coach football.
I hope it was, you got more than that gift.
Oh, no, that was it.
That was your one gift.
That was my coach's gift, how to coach football.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Right? And then baseball is even more brutal, especially in Camarillo. It's pretty competitive, right? They'll eat their young, man.
Wait. Before we get to baseball, let's just reflect on this gift.
True story, hand to God, right? I'll never forget the family. I'll never forget that woman it's like, really? I took a struggling team along with 2 other guys, and we went from 0 to we lose in the Super Bowl.
And you get a gift.
My gift is how to coach football.
I'm sorry, Lonnie. That's funny, though. That's sad.
At the
and
moment,
funny.
at the moment I was, upset. But yeah, as time has progressed now, I laugh at it now going like, it just shows where, that family was at, right? It's like, look, I'm sorry that your son wasn't the star you wanted him to be. But obviously, he's not the star. And then it gets even more funny because my son aged out and went to the next age bracket. So I moved with him, and that team was still there. Well, that kid's dad took over and they went back they didn't win a game. But they were happy because their son was playing and was the quarterback.
Yikes.
So it's like, hey, perspective, right? It's like, hey,
I haven't had that kind of... Well, I did have a couple of unhappy parents at the end of the season.
As you coach.
But they left.
Yeah.
And, I respect their decision to go somewhere else and try to find a better fit. But it wasn't, sour like that.
Yeah. It's always funny. I always tell people, it took me a while to learn my personality, but when people meet me, for whatever reason, people are never on the fence on who I am. It's like people either like me and they're, fully supportive and on board, or this person that I've never met in my life wants to hit me with their truck and kill me, and I'll just be like, what? Why? Because I asked one guy, why do you and he's like, you're just too happy. There's nobody who can be this happy, And I always look at him like, why?
No, that's a great thing.
Why can't I be happy? My life is pretty good. I mean, look, I
live in Southern California.
I'm out here.
Got a job.
Like you said,
coach.
I'm outside coaching kids, having the time of my life.
Maybe he needs to try coaching.
What's not to be happy about?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, when we practice at Kimball, I don't know where you practice. Where do you
we practice at Pleasant Valley Fields.
Oh, the nice ones.
Because that's
the
the
huge
beauty,
complex.
That's the beauty of playing with United, is I get access to the Pleasant Valley Fields.
Okay, well, those are great facilities.
Right.
We play it we play at Kimball.
And I love Kimball. All the rain was definitely good to Kimball.
Yeah, no, it actually looks pretty good.
The tournament, are you kidding me? The turf was immaculate. It was beautiful.
Everything except Field 2. Field 2 needs
Trust
one
me,
more time.
There have been worse years.
Oh, I'm sure.
The fields look pretty darn good.
But it's just something about the afternoon practice. It's just like a sanctuary time. It's so...
I absolutely know, because I go straight from work to practice at 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
And, most of the time I'm like, I'm home.
And even if sometimes you don't want to go to practice, by the end of practice, you're like, oh, that was great.
Oh, especially now that I'm back with the little guys, right? Absolutely. Because I just love their enthusiasm. And when practice is over, every time practice is over, I get that validation because they're like, Coach, practice is over? Mm-hmm. We have to go now,
Yeah,
and I'm just
they want
like,
to keep playing.
Yeah, they want to keep playing. Well, will you leave the goal up so we can shoot a little longer? And how do you, they're lucky this is the only team I have, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'll hang out, let them shoot for a little bit, until the parents finally get mad and be like, Coach, we want to go home, right? Yeah. But it just makes your worst day better, right? Mm-hmm. And then going back to the coaching and the fluidity of it, right? Making practice something that's both like they're learning and it's still halfway fun.
Yeah. Did you ever consider being like a teacher at a school? You're a teacher already.
Right.
But like, did you have any academic proclivity
No,
to
because
math or history?
Because of the new generations of students, I'd probably be in jail for choking the life out of one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're just so disrespectful and they have no concept of some things.
Yeah.
And then like everyone, especially coming out of COVID, right?
Yeah.
When everybody was in lockdown and
That was the worst time to be a teacher.
worst time
And a student.
Worst time to be a coach.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the COVID, for some reason, the schools decided, hey, we can put in a soccer season. So we didn't have our normal season. We played in April. And instead of giving us, our usual, what is that, November, December, January, February, 4 months, we did it in 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we were playing 3 games on some weeks to squeeze it all in.
Well, it's better than nothing.
Well, but to get there, you had to do the bubbles. You had to do the temperature checks. You had to keep everybody in their bubbles for 10 days. Then after the 10 days, you could go to, something where everybody's together. But only that group, if you brought anybody new, then that new group started in a new bubble. And then you had to do temperature checks every day. And then once we started playing, you got to go every week and get tested twice a week.
Yeah, okay, that's a nuisance. maybe it wasn't worth it. We'll just wait. We'll wait 6 more months.
And I had a really good group. That group, their senior year, they really got robbed. Lucas Locker, because we didn't play. That kid should have been all county, all everything. He was an amazing player that got just cheated out of everything he deserved, because of COVID. I mean, I still see that family. They live over by us in Mission Oaks area, and I almost just can't look at them because I just feel so guilty for them because they're a good family and he was a good kid, totally robbed, just totally robbed.
So what, did he not end up going to college or
No, I think he ended up going over to, I think, Moore Park, and from Moore Park, him and his brother were going to go somewhere. Yeah. And I know Jacob went to Ohio. That's one of the kids I coached that's playing somewhere else. He went out to Ohio to play there. Cool. But I don't know what happened with Luke, and I don't know if that whole thing just tainted him, just made him tough. Yeah, because I felt for him, and he was even saying like, Coach, it's not fair. And I'm like, what's the response to that?
Yeah.
You're right.
You're right.
Absolutely right. It's not fair. Life's not fair. I hate for you to experience that now before you're in the world, but it is.
Yeah. That's like kind of like a big adult lesson for a teenager to understand.
Yeah, which is rough because they've already been sitting at home, and I never understood it because they go to class, but it's on. They don't have to be in front of the camera, right? So I'm like, what? So anyway.
Yeah.
But that whole thing just was a mess. That thing was a mess. But coming out of COVID, the kids are I still see kids struggling like to get the CPU working again, right? Because they have not been stressed to think for so long. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of possession stuff and put restrictions and things on, so they have to think, right? Because I agree with you guys. We have great athletes. For our game to go to the next level internationally, our decision-making process has to get better, has to get faster, right? I try to talk to we can't be thinking about, and I think Pat said, we're always thinking 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, but we got to be thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We're not there. We're not doing that yet. So, those were, as a coach, that's the thing I think that I have to stress to these guys, right? Mm-hmm. They got to get better in making decisions. They got to get better in communicating, right? Because information is what's going to help them make a better decision, right? So the kids got to talk. I'm like, how much does that help? How hard is that?
Yeah.
You release the ball under pressure to the guy, then give him.
If you're open, call for the ball.
Yeah, give him an option, right? Don't just give him the ball and leave him hanging. Let him get his brains beat in by a defender, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Well,
usually I point those ones out. I tease the boy. I'll be like, does he owe you money? Did he steal your girlfriend? You know, and of course they're 9, right? Like, oh, you know, I'm like, well then why would you do that to him? Because you just got that guy mugged.
Yeah.
You know?
That's funny.
Right? And then they're like, okay, you know, check in. Give him an option.
Yeah, I said that the other day, I guess on Monday, we were practicing, and the situation was like goalie, defender who had the ball, and then outside midfielder, and then there was their forward who was acting as the defender. So what the defender did was a give and go to get around that forward, but he didn't get the ball back. But the defender still went with him. So he created space for the pass back to the goalie. And I stopped it. And I was like, look what just happened.
Right.
I know you guys did it accidentally, but look what just happened. But it's like, it's the switch of like, I have to be unselfish to create space for somebody else, you know?
Yes. I'm always in our possession. That's what I'm always stressing to the guys, right? It's like, look, I restrict your space on purpose. Because if you don't move, are you open?
Yeah.
Is anybody open? No. So how do you create space? You know, you got to move. You've got to move. You know, the space isn't necessarily going to be this open corner of a grid. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to move and drag a defender to create a spot for this guy to come check in. Mm-hmm. Sooner they understand that, the better, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about manipulating space where there is no space.
And that's what's fun about watching the high school guys, right?
Because they get it.
Yeah, when you get those guys that are at that level, right? Oh, that's why I said, you know, TV is so good. Some of these guys are just so good to watch. I had another kid, Tyler Nagel, and probably could have went anywhere. He's over at Cal-Lu. But he was, you know, just watching those guys, you know, they were just so much fun to watch. And they play a little bit of American style, like fast. You know, sometimes I wish they would slow it down a little bit, right? But we're just so...
It's just go.
Go.
Yeah.
Like what you see in the MLS, right? Go.
It's entertaining when you're there live.
Yeah, but
when you watch it on TV, it's like, I can't do that. It's just so unappealing.
Yeah, it's like, slow down. Because they're still pretty, you know, prolific at it, if that's the right word, you know, proficient at it, you know, and it's like, well, just think if you just slowed it down.
And the reason, like,
that much.
The reason they do it is because the other team isn't good enough with the ball to keep it.
Right.
Because if they were, they would stop chasing the ball.
Right. But they're not. Yeah, I was watching one of those the other night. God, I forget who I was watching. Because I did buy the MLS package from Apple. Because like they must have been.
Yeah.
Because they must have been.
About that.
It was really inexpensive. It was like $19. It was like less than $20.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, $20. I'll buy it. Right.
Yeah, there's more and more soccer on TV.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
I saw the USL games.
Really? On TV?
Yeah.
Really?
Like ESPN Plus kind of stuff.
Oh, sure. So ESPN Plus will show that, but they don't show the CONCACAF playoffs.
Yeah. I have Hulu Live TV. I get a lot of sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I was surprised to see USL games. You know.
But that's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean,
we need to get a USL team.
It would be nice.
Yeah. We need something to unite the 805.
Yeah.
That's partly what this podcast is about.
Hopefully
is to, like, you know, bridge some of the gap, the bridges that have, you know, just been burned by, I don't know, I haven't been here that long
by
to
adults.
Know. Somehow everything's just fractured and splintered, and we have so much talent.
So let me give you Lonnie's perspective on that and why I went other directions. Because, you know, we were here and we were developing and we were buying into it, you know, with hoping that, you know, through our system that the boys end up here. And what ended up happening is our boys didn't even get a sniff of an opportunity to that. They were bringing in ringers from college in their off season. So it's like,
yeah,
you know, these boys and their parents are supporting your program. They are the reason why you have that program.
Yeah, they're kind of two different things.
So, I don't expect all of these guys, but when like Burnley and those guys came, there was opportunities for friendlies and they could throw somebody a bone. I'm not saying take the whole team, but take Patrick, take Lonnie. What does that do for our program if there's just one of our kids, they see one of their peers in that group?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to play 90 minutes, but, get him in, get him on the pitch. That's a huge marketing tool, right? That would just drive things, right? It would just make it easier, because, they see their peers. Now they see that's a possibility. It'll bring talent. It'll bring the talent. Because that's the whole reason why I'm coaching in United. I was hoping that would be like a recruiting tool, because it's like, look, I've done this and been paid for it, and that was great. It wasn't, it is what it was, but I just feel like there's so much talent in other people who can't afford $3,000 a month that, hey, I would like to go back and give back like I used to, because in the old days, I coached a lot of years for free, so it's like, how bad was that? I actually felt really good and enjoyed that, right? Because I was giving back. So I was like, I want to do more of that, right? So it's like, so as a recruiting tool, it's like, I'm doing it for free. You're getting all this experience, and we're at Pleasant Valley Fields.
Good fields.
Right? I still have people wavering, like, oh, I don't know. Really? So like, okay.
It's a great opportunity.
Right?
Kids.
But we lost that here. We lost that here, right? That got disconnected here, and that bent a lot of noses. Because it's like, I understand there's the business side of all of that, right? Because like you said, there's two different animals going on, and I understand that, but you still need to connect that somehow.
Yeah, because some relationships built.
All right, because you invite these kids to the games, you let them come watch all the games for free. What are they aspiring to if they're only coming to the games just to be bodies in the stands?
Yeah.
The dream should be, they're coming to watch, hoping that someday they're
gonna
play on that field.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we've had a couple, but probably not enough, or
what I mean? Yeah. I mean, being realistic, it's like, have we had that much talent? Probably not yet. But there's been a couple kids that came through here and there that could have competed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them don't come here. They just go somewhere else.
Right. That's what ended up happening with my first team as they aged out, right? I lost them, right? Because they were like, well, why are we staying here? We're never going to play there. So I'm like, okay, how do I argue that? Because I'm like, you're right. So they had, back then they were going over to Simi Valley, I think. I forget what they were calling their program, because, this stuff always changes like underwear.
Hopefully every day.
Eclipse, whatever they were, and whatever it was called then, because they were murmuring back then, they were going to be going MLS Next.
Oh, the Eclipse?
Yeah, that's what they were putting out back then, or whatever they decided to call Premier before the ENCL and all that came along. They were promising parents that they were going to be able to provide that next level.
Yeah, it's a lot of clubs promise things. It
doesn't come to fruition,
huh? That's true.
Well, here's a thing that a lot of us coaches talk about that I would love to share with parents. I have a son, and he's on the bench on the silver team, plays 3 or 4 minutes a game. Or I have my son on the bronze team, but he plays 60 minutes. Where does my son get better?
Yeah.
And some parents don't grasp that because they're in the title.
They see stars when they see silver. They're just...
Right. And whether it's bronze, silver, or whatever we're calling it, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is now. Yeah, it's like, but, I understand you can say, hey, little Lonnie's playing on a gold team. That's great. But how many minutes is he getting in that game?
Yeah.
And they'll be, but he's practicing with these guys. Okay, but have you ever seen a practice? A practice is not a game, right? He'll get much more out of it. Let him come down. Let him play. Let him play. The best teacher is the game, right?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Well,
that's what I'm hearing.
Back to our coaching conversation. Our guys who coached me, they didn't play, and then we started playing, and now, we're getting your generation, guys who've not only played but played abroad, are coming home and can teach us, how to get us to the next level, right? Because they can share what they learned, at a club in Sweden or in Europe or. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can bring that knowledge, because I tease my boys at camp when the boys go off. I'm like, hey, this is great. I'm so happy for you, but get back to the program. So when you guys go, to Westmont and Santa Barbara or whatever, bring home the training that I can give this to the other guys so that they can get ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And some of the guys have come home and brought me stuff, so it's pretty cool. Well, especially the weightlifting, right? Because trying to get in the weight room's hard. It's so hard, right?
Yeah, that's
like murdering people's kids to get in there, man. It's so hard,
When do you start that for your high schoolers? You start a freshman year?
When the school year starts, yeah. If I can swing it with our AD, we'll get in there for 6th period. Because football goes in, but they don't go in all week long. They do like maintenance while they're playing. So there's like 3 days we can get in there.
Yeah.
So we can do, I always tell the boys they're so lucky. And they're like, because like, you guys are so lucky. Look at all the things we've learned to make you guys more, better athletes. And, you can do these certain exercises that are better for your core and, kettlebells and,
Kettlebells.
Right? Oh, they love the kettlebells.
Yeah.
Typical high school kids, right? They want to get under a bar. They want to load it up, right? So they can show off how strong they are. And I'm like, that absolutely does you no good in soccer, you know? It's like, here's the things you need to do, right? Kettlebell, floor, pick it up, right? Do the swings, right? Do the twists, all this stuff for mobility, right?
Yeah.
We squat and deadlift, right?
Yeah.
Because usually if they want to bench, I have them do fly stuff, but nothing. Because I'm like, look, you guys don't want to get too bulky, right? It's like, you want to be strong, but not muscle bound.
Tell them to eat their Wheaties.
Oh. I had a couple kids. I have no doubt that I think they juiced. Because, because the kid was like, I don't know, if I had to guess, 155, 165. And then came back for his senior year, and he's like 210. And he's like yoked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His body fat's about 8%. And I'm just like, holy crap. Yeah.
Quick transformation, buddy. Right? How'd you get like that?
Real emotional. I was like,
No,
but hey, good for you.
Good for you. Yeah. No, that was I feel like weightlifting is still relatively new to like the whole sport training component, and it's also just hard. It's not readily available like a soccer field is.
Couple of kids that have gone on have shared, like, I mean, look, the routine when you played, at Santa Barbara and Westmont, they go to weightlifting before school. So weightlifting is before school. Go to school, and then you go to practice.
I would, if it was like that now, or if I was playing like that, I don't know if I'd do it.
Right.
I don't know if I want it that much.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're kidding. They're like, nope, we're in the weight room for an hour and a half. Hour and a half, and then we go to school.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
I don't want it that much.
But it's all, a lot of it's plyometric stuff, right? It's, like you said, it's...
Yeah, we did it like off season. We didn't do it during season.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of sports are learning that you need some of it even during the season, right? So you don't...
Yeah, there's a whole sports psychology.
Oh,
changes every year.
Yeah, like the weather.
I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like I'm old school. Like when you mentioned John Wooden, like I've got his book by my bed. I love that book.
So when I was a kid, there's several of the Ys that are around in the area, and you kind of know, you go to the different ones because there's stuff going on. We used to go to one that was close to UCLA because a lot of the guys would practice there. Like I saw Daryl Allum and Dean Sears and just guys from my era. They're playing, but Wooden would come into the gym, and you could always tell when coach was there, the place would go dead silent. And you know how a gym is, right? You can't hear.
Were you there
yourself
watching?
think.
Were you there watching this?
Yeah.
You were watching
Right?
Wooden's practice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It was amazing.
What
But he was brilliant, right? He purposely did not talk loud to make them shut up and be attentive.
There's something about that. There's something about the fluctuation of your voice, because if you're loud if you're shouting the whole time,
They don't hear you. They
don't
turn
hear
it
you.
off.
But if it's like a dream come true.
And
to
that's
see
how you
this.
knew he was there, right? Because the place would just go,
That's
it's
so
church,
interesting.
And so everyone would start like, hey, coach is here. Everybody's looking for where he's at. So, and he was great. He took all these randoms and he did some passing drills and stuff with them and talked to them about, he's a big time fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
He's like fundamentals.
Pros are the master of the fundamentals.
Right? That's an age-old saying, right? Fundamentals. Fundamentals, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to fail, right? There's nothing wrong with failing, right? Because that's how you're going to grow, right? It's like that stuff is still genius.
I can't say it yet.
With the little guys, I do this all the time. Like don't be afraid. I really try really hard. Like when they try something and mess up, I really work with the other coach to be like, hey, when they do this and it doesn't work, we can't have a reaction, right? It has to be the Ted Lasso thing, right? Yeah. Nice try, good try. Don't worry about it. Let's get it the next time, right? Because that's the only way. Because they're already ridiculed by their parents, ridiculed by their friends. It's the only way you're going to give them enough confidence to try it is to know they're safe in this environment to do it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. No, it's an important thing to remember, to not get on your kids too heavily where they freeze because they're afraid of messing up.
Yep. And I've seen it at the high school. I've seen guys at the high school that, you see them playing as they progress and they come in and then they've plateaued. And it's like, what happened? And then you see him playing and it's like, oh, he's playing scared. Right? He's not aggressive anymore. And he's just not, right? Because he's playing, he has two moves and this is his comfort zone and that's where he stays. Yeah. And it's sad.
You had to how do you break that for a player?
I don't know.
How do you break him out of it?
I don't know, right? That's a hard one to get him out of because I've tried to encourage them, like, hey, because I'll even say it when you're high school, you watch a lot of film, right? And it'll be like, hey, look, everybody knows you have two moves. Everyone knows when you go baseline, you're going to do a Cruyff. Everyone knows. You've got to mix it up, right? You can't go to it right away. Those are supposed to be there to get you out of emergencies, not out of the everyday play, right? And it's hard. It's really hard. Usually by the time they're 16, it's hard. If it's a freshman, you can usually, encourage them and they'll do it and you can be like, okay, and they kind of roll out of it. But by the time they're, JV or they come to me, it's hard. It's hard to break it. Because I hate to say it, but that's sometimes the decision I have to make on who I keep or who I let go. Is like, okay, will this guy break the mold and come out, or is he going to stay the way he is, or is this guy going to do it, It's so hard, right? Because like you said, I could easily pick wrong, right? And probably have, you know what I mean? Without some kind of evidence otherwise, I probably let some poor soul go that probably could have developed, but
yeah, it's hard.
It's hard, man. Because, it's hard to put yourself out there and be criticized, right? And then coming out of COVID and all the other stuff, these guys don't take criticism real well because they haven't heard it in a while, right?
This is why, I don't know if you have a lot of experience skateboarding, but I'm going to the skate park, but this is why I value skateboarding so much, because 99% of the time you're falling, you're not landing the trick, and then you're falling on concrete.
Right, you're falling.
It's not like you lose your balance and fall on grass. It's like you're falling.
Yeah.
And it's like so inspiring to see someone get back up and try it again, and get back up and try it again until they land the trick.
Right? Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's just such I love skateboarding. I love what it teaches.
So see, how do we roll that?
We gotta get some more skaters on the field.
How do we roll that into the field?
Yeah. But it's such a valuable lesson.
So valuable. No, I'm blessed. I always tell people that is like, as far as sports go, living in LA and growing up in the era I did, look, there was no life without Chick Hearn, or Ben calling games. There wasn't TV. You hear these guys on the radio. If you went to a game, you could hear the radios all through the stadium. You could hear them, and then Coach Wooden and bringing all of that to UCLA. And
I can't believe you saw.
Oh, Patrick, it was
incredible.
Yeah, it was like the mecca of my childhood, was getting to see John Wooden in person and see him talk to us and run a drill and him talk about fundamentals.
This is more than once?
Yeah. He was notorious. He would just
pop in.
And
people would listen.
Now that I'm an adult, what a great recruiting tool, right? Because
that's a great tool. Smart guy.
Right?
That wouldn't.
But the low voice thing was, like his pyramid wasn't genius. It was genius. But the talking, like you said, to bring the voice down so that people would be quiet and be attentive was just brilliant, because it worked like a champ.
So easy to raise your voice.
Right? So easy, right? And how it never went up, right? The 2 times that he was there and we heard him talk, it never went up. It was like us talking right now, right? It was this low and like listening to, somebody with wisdom, sharing that wisdom, just talking about the little things. It's the little things, and fundamentals and, letting the guys do the drill on their own and then bring them back and say, okay, well, get your elbows in, make the pass from your chest and shuffle your feet. How about maybe we try sliding? This is crazy. This is crazy. All these memories are coming back, right? Because it's just, it was so fun. It was so cool.
Well, speaking of wisdom, I appreciate you coming down here and sharing.
Hey, I told you
wisdom.
I could talk soccer all night. All right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate Lonnie for coming down.
I appreciate the invite.
And thanks for sharing your wisdom with us.
I don't know how much wisdom was. It was definitely some storytelling going on.
That was good. Thank you.
Thank you.